Refrigerant recovery, how to do it, and the tools required. And as a bonus, if you stick around, I'll be replacing the compressor or removing the compressor in this unit. Okay, D2DNY, Real World HVAC Simplified. And now, in this video, refrigerant recovery. Okay, stay tuned. So in this video, I'm going to be recovering the refrigerant and removing the compressor from this unit. So the reason why I'm recovering the refrigerant is because the compressor here is bad, and I'll be removing the compressor. So in order to do any major repairs, you'll need to recover the refrigerant. So what you're going to need is a recovery tank. This is a recovery tank. You're going to need some gauge manifolds with hoses. As you can see, the hoses is connected. And you're going to need a recovery unit. Also, I have this new tool here that's supposed to speed up the recovery process by condensing all the vapor refrigerant into liquid refrigerant, so as your tank pressures will remain lower. Your recovery tank pressures will remain lower, and it's supposed to help with overheating. If you put in only liquid, you pretty much will be more efficient, because with vapor, the tank pressure will be higher, and so the pump will be pushing against a higher pressure. So we'll see how that works. But here I have my vacuum pump set up, and the reason for that is I'm going to be reusing the refrigerant. So I have a vacuum pump set up here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a vacuum on my recovery tank. The tank is currently empty. It's empty, but because I'm going to reuse the refrigerant, I want to make sure that I have a virgin and sterile tank before I pump the refrigerant in there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a vacuum on it to start. All right, so here you go. Vacuum pump, my gauges, and we're going to put a vacuum. We're going to put a vacuum on the recovery tank. So let's go. Oh, no power. Okay, take two. So this vacuum process is going to be very quick. As you can see, it's already showing 29 inches of vacuum. So let's open up my gauges, and we're going to pull this number down to 29 inches. So initially you were seeing 29 inches because the gauge was closed. I closed the valve, see that? But we want to get our tank down to 29 inches. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so once again, you're going to want to make sure that if you're going to reuse the refrigerant, if you're planning on reusing the refrigerant, make sure your tank is sterile. Make sure there's no air in your tank. There's no non-condensables in your recovery tank. And the reason why I'm putting a vacuum on the tank. You don't have to do this step. Usually the tank, if it's empty, if it's a brand new tank, it's supposed to have plastics on the cover, on the top, and it should be already in a vacuum. But still, I would recommend you pull a vacuum on it just to be sure that there's no non-condensables in your tank, and then you'll have no issues. You can reuse whatever refrigerant you pull out. Okay, so my tank is at 29.9 inches of vacuum. Can you see that? All right. I'm gonna go ahead and shut off my pump. Close my tank right here. Close it off. And then I'm gonna shut my pump off. All right, so my tank is in a full vacuum. Let's move to the next step. Okay, so now it's phase 2. What you're gonna do is connect your low side on your high side. Just screw them on nice and tight. And as you can see, we're reading pressures pretty much equal. Okay, and you're going to want to have both of your gauges open, closed to start. You can close them to start, and you're going to connect. The recovery unit has a marking, so there's an in and there's a out. So the in is going to come from your gauges. Okay, so you're going to go from your system into your gauges, and then from the gauges you're going to go into your in. From the out of the recovery unit you'll go into your tank. But I have this device here I'll be using. It's supposed to, like I said, it should make your recovery process faster, because it will ensure that you have more liquid as opposed to vapor going into your tank. So this device here has a in and it has a out. All it is a coil. Now this will help and be more efficient if you put this device into a bucket of water, submerge it into a bucket of cold water. But being that outside is cold right now, I'm just going to leave it sitting in the atmosphere. All right, so we are going to use the liquid side of a recovery tank. Now, initially what you heard, the gas escaping, is because I have this port right here loose, and it is left loose on purpose, because by doing so, I can open my gauges and that means now I've purged out whatever air or non-condensables that's in both hoses, because these are opened, and purge all the way through into the unit. You can see there's pressures on the unit right now, in and out, and I purge all the way through, coming back here through this device, and I'm purged. So I've blown out all air or non-condensables. Also, you want to have your recovery set to recover. Okay, not closed, recover, so that you can pass right through recovery unit and blow out whatever air or non-condensables in it. This is a self purge function here. I never quite used that. Never used that. If you have used this before in this unit, the field piece unit, you can comment in the comment section. If you got questions as well, leave it in the comment section. I'll answer them. I'll answer any questions you left there. Now, again, this is just an addition that I'm using. It's a CPS tool. It's for recovery. There's a coil in there. And as you know, if you're pumping vapor into the tank, the vapor will expand quickly and build pressures, which means now your pump will have to pump against these pressures, the recovery pump or recovery unit. Once you're putting liquid, then you're filling up slowly, and the tank pressures will remain lower, and you will speed up your recovery process, and you'll get to put more refrigerant into the tank, as opposed to having the tank getting to 500 psi and overheating, and you only have this much liquid and a lot of vapor up here. Okay, so let's see. So everything is purged. And I am ready to go. Cages are opened. Turn this one back on. That went off. And I'm just gonna press start. So one step I forgot, you can see high pressure on the outlet, and I'm in fault because I forgot to open my port. Lesson learned. Alright, so the final step, you have to make sure that your recovery tank is open. My bad. Okay, so let's restart, cancel. Just so you know that this recovery unit, it does have a condenser installed, a condenser with a fan on there. But still, if you're siphoning from the system, if you're siphoning liquid and vapor, sometimes, you know, it won't be pure liquid leaving your recovery unit. So this should take care of any miscellaneous vapor that's leaving. So if you'll have like flash, maybe similar to a TXV 75-25, 75% liquid and 25% of vapor, or maybe, you know, whatever the mix is. This will help to avert that. All right, so I'm clamping on pressure. All right, so let's see how fast I recover this. And then yeah, remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I upload videos on a weekly basis. So just to go over, the in from the recovery unit comes from your charge port. That liquid is flowing nice, eh? Flowing good. Now you see what happens. That's a good example. At 540 psi or 550 psi, this thing cuts out on fault. This is a digital display. This one has a digital display, but other recovery unit doesn't have that. The machine, the motor will just cut off, or the compressor in here will just cut off. The compressor will just cut off, and because at higher pressure, you just won't see it on a display. And the reason is, if the tank pressure is too high, and this will happen, especially in the summertime, and when you're putting a lot of vapor in the tank, it's going to build pressure because the vapor requires more space than liquid. So there's going to be a lot of pressure in the tank based on that vapor expansion. And this little tank right here is going to build to 500 psi in no time. But with this tool, it's supposed to avert that and keep pure liquid going into your tank. And if you're using the liquid port, this is a liquid port, because this is the dip tube that goes to the bottom of the tank. This is the vapor port. All right. If you're using this port, you're putting liquid in the bottom. You're building up slowly, pure liquid. The tank pressure remains relatively low, as you can see. We're only about 190 psi. It says 190 in here, but it says 225 over here. All right, so stay tuned. Let's see how long this thing takes to recover, or takes to recover. And it's going rather quick, you can see that. We started at 119, 120 psi. It's dropping fast. I think we're coming only now vapor. I don't see any more liquid going through here. Yeah, that's looks like vapor, pure vapor now. So in this case, the recovery unit is using its condenser to condense the incoming refrigerant or vapor refrigerant into liquid. So it's coming in vapor. The condenser, it goes through this. This is a fan and a condenser in there with compressor, of course. That's how you're able to pump the refrigerant out. And so you're coming out here from this line now going over here. Should be pure liquid, but sometimes, given the amount of vapor it's pulling out, it will in fact send some mixed refrigerant out here. You know, vapor and liquid. Sometimes even mostly vapor than liquid. Especially when your system is getting towards the end of the recovery, when it's only pure vapor going into the pump. So that's where this bad boy comes in. And we're building pressure still. Let's see how hot this thing is. So it's pretty cold, which means that clearly you could see that, and I'm doing this recovery real time. The video hasn't been paused since I started. It's been what? It's been about 5 minutes so far. And okay, stay tuned. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping to remove the compressor, or the compressor removal. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull my disconnect. Oh. Okay, shut my power off, safety first. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect the condenser fan wires so that I can lift this whole top piece off without any problems, get it out of the way. And for the compressor, I don't have to disconnect anything here because the compressor itself has a plug. I could just unplug that from the inside. But the condenser fan, you can see this this piece right here that brings up the wire into it, the motor. You can see that little bit of cable or shield or plastic, or we call it seal tight. It's like it's PVC. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the condenser fan. Okay, so let's see here. From the inside I could see those goes to my compressor, black, red and yellow. These ones right here that I'm holding on to. So these are my compressor wires, which means these are my condenser. Okay, I got one here, and I got two up here. And this capacitor is marked. It's a dual capacitor. So when you put it back together, if you're not sure, just refer to the schematic. It's all there. That will be your guide. But I could simply just look at the wire, trace it out. Not a big deal. It's that easy. There you go. Like I said, that's a dual capacitor up top there. It's a booster kit right there, and that's your contactor. Now, in the future, when you're putting this thing back together, if you want to know how to put the wires back, you're not sure, just look at the schematic or wiring diagram. It's easy, not a big deal. Can't go wrong with that. It's just 3 wires. This is the simplest of HVAC, the basic. You know what I'm saying? So you got questions, leave in the comment section. Let's just see what we're doing on the recovery. That's all in there. Whoa, literally, that's 0. I like to pull a little bit of vacuum, you know, like 5 inches or so. So I'm sure I'm good. And this system, this unit will turn off. Once it sees that it's in a vacuum and it's done, it will shut off automatically, this pump. Okay? So yeah, that was pretty quick, guys. It's been about 15 minutes or so. Maybe less. It's pretty quick. All right. So I'll go ahead now and take these screws out. All right. Take all these screws out all the way around. These you won't take out. You only want to remove the ones on the side here. Okay. I'm gonna have fun getting the ones in the back over there, but we'll see. Stay tuned. So I'll use these or this to remove the screws in the back. You can probably get away with shifting the condenser. You know, it's not that crazy. You can shift it a little bit if you don't have one of these, if you don't want one of these tools. But you got to be careful just not to damage the pipe when you're doing that. Now, if you're a pro, you might wonder, is he going to put these screws back? Is he going to put all these screws back? I don't know, perhaps I will, I don't know. You know, I don't think it's gonna really make or break the deal, but you know, I guess I put it back. Alright. So you see how I'm doing it. Got 2 more to go. So there's a zip tie that they're gonna have to cut because it's holding the condenser fan motor wires. Free and clear, baby. Free and clear. Make sure you don't get those blades banged up, because once you bang them up, you're gonna lose the balance, and you know it's gonna be wobbling like crazy or vibrating like crazy. Here's the compressor. Alright, gonna get my torch ready. Gotta remove those 4 bolts. Piece of cake. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, subscribe. Alright. I upload videos on a weekly basis. So the extension that I usually use, I have a long one, but like this, 20 inches I believe, or 18 inches, but it's damaged. So I'm just got these two attached just to make it up. I have to buy me a new one. And as you can see, I have my bit in here. It's my socket, but I think this will get the job done. Oh yeah. Like butter. All right. I think I can shut this recovery unit right now. I think I'm pretty much good. That's as good I'm gonna get. You know, you see this 10 psi right here? Oh, here we go. Right on time. It wasn't 10 psi, it was 10 inches of vacuum. Complete. Shows 0 over here. I'm okay with that. Close it off, and time to unsweat my compressor. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to close your tank. All right, make sure you close your tank before you remove your hoses, and then you can go in and close this right here if you want. I don't think it make a difference because the system is at 0. See, nothing comes out. In fact, I think this is a vacuum. There's nothing. We're empty. All right, and that's how you do a recovery, my friend. That's how you do a recovery. Okay. There's all my refrigerant right here. And that's not garbage. That will be reused. Now, before you unsweat your compressor, I would recommend leaving the gauge attached and opened, so what any buildup while you're unsweating doesn't blow out. It will just go out through the gauge hoses and not from the pipe you're unsweating. That's a tip. You want to leave them attached and leave everything opened so that the pressure build up, because once you start to get the pipes hot, there's going to be some refrigerant boiling off. So I usually like to start with my smaller pipe, or the discharge pipe first. All right. Okay, what's going on here? Am I out of gas? Don't tell me. My tank is empty? I don't think so. Now once it's glowing red, use the pliers or channel lock and pull the pipe out. Okay, so there goes the first one. I just couldn't hold the camera while, once this pipe gets glowing, or the solder turns silver, it's ready to go. You just use a jiggle it, gently jiggle it and pull out. That's it. All right, on to the next one. suppose it would help if you have a bigger tip, but this will get it done. Stay tuned. I'll come back when this compressor is sitting on the ground. Okay, there you go, guys. As promised, air recovery and compressor removal.